right, Pickle. Let's do it. We watched 7 high school football games, state champions this week, at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. You were there.
I was.
I was not. I was in the studio watching all of it. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. But we're going to rank them. We're going to rank the 7 state championship games on the banger scale.
Yes.
Okay? So from the least banger to the most banger.
Mm-hmm.
Now look, and I say this every year when I do this segment.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a Sterling City fan, that was your favorite game of the weekend.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
If you were a Hallettsville fan,
Mm-hmm.
that was probably your least favorite game of the weekend.
Right.
Okay? We are coming at this from a neutral observer perspective
Mm-hmm.
of how much of a banger was this game?
Right.
How much fun was it to watch? How much excitement did we get? How much for a neutral fan, for the guy who's flipping channels and happens to come across the game, how much are they going to be after the game be like, that was awesome?
Fix and say, this is like putting someone that's never seen a high school football game and sticking them in a room and saying, okay, it's either going to turn him into a fan or say, I'm never watching that again.
Right. To be clear, this is not a reflection on the quality of the teams or anything like that. This is just from an entertainment value perspective. Okay? We start with number 7, the 4A Division I state championship game. Argyle 49, Lindale 21. We mentioned Tito Bice, and the running game they had was so impressive. And it became pretty clear pretty early how this game was going to go. Argyle looked like a team on a mission. They looked like a team that was not going to let anything stand in their way.
And I feel like the turnover super early on with the kick, or I think it was the missed punt, but it was like that to me was the moment where you go, okay, not only is their offense humming, their defense is humming.
Special teams too. And the kickoff, it was the kickoff. If you remember, they scored to go up 14-0.
And then
with 2 minutes left in the game, in the first quarter.
It was the high snap.
It was a kickoff.
Oh, okay.
And they just, I don't know what was going on. They botched basically picking it up.
Right.
I think it kind of landed between two guys. Argyle pounces on it. They get it one play later. Tito Bice is in the end zone. They score twice in 9 seconds.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's 21-0. And the way the Argyle defense was playing,
you could just tell, all phase of the game was
like,
solid.
This is pretty much over. And so from there, Argyle goes in at half 28-0. Lindale's really struggling offensively at that point. They do pick it up in the second half.
I was impressed with the second half that they were able to utilize other weapons than just Jordan Jenkins. They really kind of got the pass game going there, and so that was exciting for a second, but the deficit was just too big at that point.
The deficit was too much. And so it was one of those things, and that's what Argyle does. Like, that was a vintage Todd Rogers team going out there, jumping on a team and saying, like, we're going to hold you at arm's length the rest of the way. And so Argyle wins their second state championship. I think also I'll also say this. It maybe it's because it was the last game.
Yeah.
And we were like a little bit tired. We're like, okay. And it was like, at that point, I mean, look, it was 49-14 with 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jordan Jenkins put on a touchdown late, ran for a 25-yard touchdown late, but like that was all cosmetic. I mean, in a lot of ways, this game was over. I would say this game was over with 2 minutes left in the first quarter. And so as a result, we were just like, all right, we're playing out the string. Argyle's going to win this game. They're the more dominant team in this game. So that ranks number 7. Number 6, 1A Division I, Sterling City and May. So we go from the last game to the first game. This game was really interesting in the first quarter. It was 14-14 coming out of the first quarter, and Caden Hulk was doing Caden Hulk things.
Hulkamania.
Hulkamania was running wild. Thank you. Hulkamania was running wild. May suffered a couple of injuries.
Yes.
And when you're going up against Sterling City, who is not only one of the very best teams in the state, but also one of the deepest.
Yeah, especially for six-man.
It was really over from there. And talking with Granger Huntress, you can see our instant reaction on TexasFootball.com. Excuse me.
Looked good, by the way.
Thanks. We did it on Zoom.
Yeah.
But talking with Granger Huntress, he was like that depth really hurt May, and it was such a buoy for Sterling City. And beyond that, like you just saw May starting to get worn down. But that's what Sterling City does. They wear people down. And that's what happened. So we had a great first quarter, and then it was all Sterling City from there. It ends up ending after 23 seconds into the third quarter with Damian Calderon hitting Hudson Cox for a touchdown, and then Raul Sanchez kicks the game-winning 2-point kick. They win their state championship 68-22. It gets the very slight nod over the Argyle game only because we had a full, interesting first quarter. But past that, it became pretty clear that Cross Canidal was going to take over this game, and it was not going to matter from there. So unfortunately, we now look, credit to Sterling City. I mean, they scored 40 points in the second quarter. I mean, they went off. It was impressive.
That second quarter was fun to watch just from like oh my goodness, like it's a track meet out there.
Right. So that is number 6. Number 5. Carthage 70, Gilmer 14. And you're probably thinking, well, Tepper, this was the biggest blowout.
Score.
This was the biggest blowout of the weekend. What are you thinking? Aha!
The first quarter.
The first 5 minutes.
First 5. It's 6 minutes. Yeah, the first 6 minutes of that game.
If you missed it, I appreciate Coach Alan Metzel and Gilmer and what they did. They went with the crazy guy in the fight. You don't want to fight a crazy guy because you don't know what they're going to do.
No.
Like, you're just like, they throw you off, and like, you can be a way better fighter than them, but it doesn't matter because they're crazy. You don't know what they're going to do. And so Gilmer comes out, and they open up the game with an onside kick. They don't get it.
Right.
Okay. But love the energy.
Yes.
Okay? Come up with a stop.
Yep.
4th down stop. Get the ball back. They start getting the screen game going. Suddenly, they're up 7-0 on a 52-yard touchdown pass to Rohan Flewellen. Okay.
Well, here comes the crazy.
They do another onside kick, and they get it.
And they got it.
A different onside kick this time. Different style onside kick.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was the boot
great
and follow.
Great field position.
So they get the ball to the 50-yard line. 6 plays later, they're in the end zone again. They're up 14-0, and we're going, oh, my gosh.
What is going on?
Let me be clear. Some people were going, oh, my gosh.
The coal in the engine hadn't quite heated up yet.
Fox kept doing shots over to Scott Surratt, and he was just sitting there just like, you don't know what you just did.
You pissed us off is what happened.
Carthage then goes on to score the next 70 points. And so it was two things. One, I think the most important play of the game was the throwback touchdown to Kai Horton, where it was Caleb McNew threw to Kai Horton. It was 1st and 15 at the Gilmer 18, and they threw the throwback screen to Kai Horton, and he ends up going in there. At that point, it was like, all right, if they get a stop here, we know which way this game is going.
Right.
They go out there, and at that point, I believe Gilmer went for it on 4th and 2. They reached the 48, went for 4th and 2. They weren't able to get it. Carthage takes over. 5 plays later, they're in the end zone on a 4th. They forced another punt. I guess I forgot.
Did.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because what happened
then we were going, okay, maybe.
Because then what happened is that's when Brandon King got his first 4 interceptions.
Yep.
At that point, and then it's like, that's a chance.
And then they continued.
And then it was from there. Brandon King had another had a pick six.
Then a pick six on the next play.
And then he had his 4th interception in the second half. And the offense really started churning. Mason Courtney started running, and it was a show. It was a show, is what it was. It was an exhibition there for the Carthage offense. The defense made one key adjustment. I'm fairly certain. I need to go back and watch the film, but watching it live, I think they came out in man. And
they switched to zone,
and the screens were killing them. The screens were killing them. So they switched to zone, and then basically it was like
over after that.
That was Brandon Tenson had to hold the ball for an extra 1.5 seconds, and with the pass rush, he didn't have that, and then that was basically it. And so it was Scott Surratt's now 8 for 8 in title games. Scott Surratt's the greatest high school football coach in Texas high school football history, and that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm sorry. I know I said that on Fox, and I got a little bit of pushback, but guys, like, he has 8 state championships in the last 13 years.
I like that you brought up the fact of the that touchdown with Kai Horton being the game changer, because I think not only from a score perspective, but I think mentally that was that Gilmer came out with all they had.
They threw their best punch.
They threw their best punch, and then it was like, okay, this is working. Keep doing that. But then you started to see in that moment that almost every single play, Carthage has a different offensive scheme that they're running with. That how are you supposed to figure out how to stop that?
Carthage, Gilmer comes out there and throws just haymaker, right? They throw everything they've got, and 14 minutes into the game, it's tied at 14. And you're like, I mean, I know which way this is going.
And I think that shows so much, like you said, about Scott Surratt being the best coach, because it's one of those things. There are so many teams that wouldn't be able to switch their schemes like that. And not only are they able to call it.
There's no panic on that sideline.
They execute it perfectly, nearly perfectly every single time.
So that's number 5. Number 4, Shiner 42, Post 20 in the 2A Division I state championship game. Okay. We'll talk a lot about a certain man in a moment, a certain large child. Talk about him in a moment. But we would be remiss if we did not mention that I do think that the injury to Sladen Pittman in the first quarter, I think that changed the game. I'm not here to tell you that Post wins that game because I don't know. But I think it's a much different game.
I think they held in really, really well after he got injured, but in the long run,
this was a
3-phase
game. Okay, this is a 3-phase game. Phase 1 is before the Pittman injury. Okay, which is Shiner gets the early touchdown from a Doug Brooks
handoff
larceny.
Yeah,
where he just takes the ball. Takes the ball away, knocking over Vince Young's Player of the Year trophy. He takes the ball away from Sladen Pittman and then hands it to Max Masachik and says, "Here, you score." So he gets the fumble recovery. But then Post comes back, and they go on an 8-play, 92-yard drive right back there. Bang, hit him. Okay? Miss the extra point. Shiner then comes back, and they go on their own 8-play, 90-yard drive. Okay? There's all this back and forth. I believe at that point, I don't know when. I would need to check when Sladen Pittman got hurt. Oh, I know. It was right before the Nathan McDaniel touchdown.
Yes.
I think. So, why is Sarah Merrifield calling me? So, the Pittman, and so that's phase 1, is before the Pittman injury. The next phase is between the Pittman injury and halftime.
Yes.
Because Post is hanging in there.
They were.
Post puts Avery Clarkson at quarterback, and they basically start running Wildcat. And Shiner has not game planned for this.
No.
And they're having success. They're kind of torching them. They go on a pair of long touchdown drives, and this game is 21-20 at half.
Yep.
This game is 21-20 at half, and we got a ball game. A huge credit to Daniel Boddicker and the Shiner staff for going in at halftime and coming up with a game plan and saying, here's the new offense, here's how we're going to stop it. They hemmed them in, and they made them they shrunk the field in between the hashes.
It's like you don't have to do it perfectly, but here are the suggestions that you need to take.
But at that point, they changed their game plan, and they were able to do that. From there, the offense continued to go. I mean, what do you say about Doug Brooks? He was a monster out there. He's a meme now. He had 3 ridiculous viral plays. 3. The first was taking the ball away from Sladen Pittman, the strip sack, and handing him off for the touchdown. That's one. The second was the block punt.
Yes.
Which is an incredible play.
Yeah.
An incredibly agile play to pounce on that ball in the end zone before it goes out of the back to get the touchdown instead of the safety.
And it's not like he's a small, like...
He's 260.
It takes a lot to get that thing
Very
moving,
nimble.
you know?
And then there was the stiff arm from hell.
I tweeted that he stiff-armed him into a different zip code. I think he might have stiff-armed him, like, into Oklahoma.
It's a
I wish you could have heard Step in the.
I was in the Fox studios, and I literally just exclaimed, "God Almighty!"
Like, Step stays pretty stinking quiet throughout most of the games, like, because he's used to being in the press box atmosphere. You know, like, he does what he's supposed to. At that one, he was like, "Oh my God!"
It was ferocious.
Which we have to say, too, credit to the post player because that little guy knew that he was going to get absolutely obliterated, and he went in full force.
He went in there.
Like, he has to get some credit because he didn't even hesitate or pulled back. Like,
we would also be remiss if we didn't mention the offensive MVP, which is Dalton Brooks, who is awesome. By the way, junior and sophomore.
Yeah.
So they're going to be fantastic and a handful next year. Anyway, Shiner 42 post 20 ranks third, fourth rather. Now we're getting to the fireworks factory.
Yes.
This is tough. Number 3, the 2A Division II state championship game. Windthorst 22, Mart 21. From a shock perspective, this was the shocker.
This was
everything
number 1,
else. There wasn't really an upset. Jim Ned over Hallettsville is not an upset, guys.
No.
We thought that was a coin flip type game.
The whole time.
That's not an upset. One of the games we'll talk about would have been an upset if it had been reversed,
flipped,
but we'll get into that. But this was a true stunner. Okay, this is a true stunner. We talked with Coach Chris Tackett earlier about an incredible game plan they came up with to stymie Mart, to get Mart off balance, and to maintain. He said, make them earn every yard, and that's the thing is that basically Mart had one big play. One big play, and it was the long 60-something yard touchdown run. It was 65-yard touchdown for
65,
Freeman.
yeah.
He got out loose, and he got out there. But the defense held them in it. And the defense helped them hang around. This game was 14-7 Windthorst, and it was 14 up at half. Mart scores in the third quarter, goes up 21-14, and you're thinking, man, is Windthorst going to have a chance? Are they going to be able to drive? Because that's the thing. They're not a big play offense.
No.
They are 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They grind you out. So they get the ball back with 4 minutes left on their own 25 as they stop Mart on fourth down, as Mart drops a touchdown pass on fourth down. And they go on a 13-play, 75-yard drive that is going to be remembered in Windthorst forever.
Oh, yeah.
They pick up 2 fourth downs. I believe they converted another 3 third downs to march their way down the field. They cap it on Cy Belcher's touchdown run. Then I exclaimed for the first time at Fox, because Windthorst misses the extra point, and I literally screamed no. Not because I'm rooting for Windthorst, obviously, but because
what that does to that poor kicker.
I couldn't. Nope. Maybe it's me being a dad, but it's like I'm just thinking like, no.
You never want a 16, 17-year-old kid
to own that,
to have to go through that pain of knowing he had the one job.
But
he got a second chance.
Mart's offsides. And so we talk with Chris Tackett. He gets this wry smile on his face on the sideline. And they go for 2, and they basically run like a double wing play. Where
it was interesting at the line.
And I think I need to go back. I want to watch this play a couple more times. I think Mart's misaligned, and Mart doesn't have a timeout, so I can't call timeout. Mart is misaligned, and the right side is wide open. They flex. They motion Kyle Wolf out, and Kyle Wolf has killed Mart on this drive. And my first thought is they're going to run a little slant, a little slant right there, and he's going to have it. Instead, they take your eye off that, or they take your eye off of where the actual strength of the formation is, which is on the right side, because they're like, oh, there's the guy. Ethan Belcher is just nobody's in his
You know what we should have asked?
area code.
We should have asked if he had run that play all year, or if they have been saving that for, because he said his team knew through and through exactly what play they were going to run. So that's one of those, they're working on it at least once a practice, just to have it in their back pocket.
And so Windthorst pulls the stunner. They take down Mart 22-21. They dethrone the 3-time defending state champs, and what a way to kick off the 11-man action at AT&T. Yeah. It's the third best game of the weekend. And I'll be honest, when that game happened, I'm already in my mind going, well, I know we're doing the segment on Monday, so that's probably 1.
So there's number 1.
There's number 1.
And then Thursday came, and it was like, whoo, buddy.
Number 2. I told you this stuff.
Yeah.
3A Division II. Canadian 35, Franklin 34. Okay. This game, the reason that this is second is because for long stretches of this game, it wasn't super interesting. I mean, it was back and forth a little bit, but like Franklin was up, or rather, Canadian goes up 21-7 early in the third quarter.
And you're thinking, goodbye.
That's probably it.
Yeah, they're waving the white flag at this one.
Franklin comes back. They score. They come back and they mount a drive. They get a long Seth Spiller touchdown run. Whole starting opening up, by the way. Mm-hmm. I think Canadian, I'd love to talk to Kenny about it. I think they started to wear down. Because Franklin was really dominating up front, and Seth Spiller, suddenly these 2-3-yard carries were turned into 40-yard carries.
Seth Spiller is a hoss. He's awesome.
So he runs for a 53-yard touchdown run. And then we get to the fireworks factory, which is the final 8 minutes of this game, which had 5 touchdowns in the final 8 minutes of the game. Started with Seth Spiller's 3-yard touchdown run on that caps a 98-yard drive that takes 6:34 off the clock, and with 8:10 left, we're tied at 21. Canadian comes back 6 plays later in a minute 43. They're back up 28-27 on 8 or 28-21 on a long Hayes Huffstetler run.
Yes.
Who again, I think Franklin started to wear down too because the Hayes Huffstetler run started going.
Yep.
Okay. Back comes Franklin. 6 plays, 232. Seth Spiller touchdown run. We're tied at 28. Franklin gets a stop.
Yep.
Franklin gets the ball back.
And then
and with a minute 2 left, they run the throwback. They hand the ball to Braden Smith, who turns and fires to they hand the ball to Seth Spiller, who fires to the freshman Braden Smith, who hauls it in with a minute left, and 34-28, extra point doink. Okay. And that extra point doinked, and I looked at the score bug. And 6 points, and Canadian had 3 timeouts and a minute
left.
And I'm like,
oh.
Uh-oh.
God. Yeah. The moment the doink happened, we all went silent.
2 plays. Josh Colwell drops back. They started, and it's funny. It's funny how you remember things. But I'm sitting there, and they run for 4 yards on the first play, or 6 yards on the first play.
Yes.
And I'm going, you guys got to hurry up. You guys got to hurry up. Like, they're running up. They're going up the line, but it's with urgency, but not like hurry.
Right. And
then they're like shifting all around in this. And it dawned on me, I'm like, they got the shot. Like, they know it. They have it dialed up.
Yep.
And sure enough, Josh Colwell hits Reagan Cochran for a 52-yard touchdown pass to take the lead with 28 seconds left. They hold off a late Franklin heave, and Canadian wins 35-34 in a certified banger. I'm putting the stamp on it.
Yep. I can say I think that throwback pass that they did, that Franklin did to go up with a minute left, I think that was my favorite play of the weekend. I really do, because
he starts coming out and it's like and
they run a slot T offense, like, so that's what made it so much better.
You can tell, like, whenever they do that, you can always tell, like, with the way guys are running and holding the ball. He got 2 steps before I'm like, he's throwing it.
Yep. And I mean, the thing about it was, I mean, it's a slot T offense. You have your running back that has literally been the workhorse of this team for the entirety of the game, especially in the second half. He's tired. He breaks out, and we're going, okay. And then the pass was a dime. If you go back and watch, like, the slow motion replay of that, it falls right in the basket, and we were just like, holy cow. Which Step called that play, by the way. I'll say that. Step goes, it's a slot T. They got one more trick play. Like, they've got one more trick pass play, and then he does it, and Step goes, I called it.
Amazing. Astonishing. An incredible game. And by the way,
good.
A game we thought was a mismatch.
Yes,
we thought Canadian
mismatch.
Was going to run away and hide, and especially when they went up 21-7, I'm like, this is one-way traffic. But what an incredible game from both those squads. But that leaves number one.
When you thought it couldn't get any crazier.
3A Division I state championship game. Jim Ned 29, Hallettsville 28. And this game had everything. Okay, this game had an individual superstar. Because if you weren't a believer in Jonathan Brooks coming into this game, I don't know how you watch that game and not be a convert.
He had, at one point in the second quarter, he had more yards rushing than Jim Ned has total offensive yards.
He ran for 299. He ran for 299. Yeah. He gained 300 and then lost 1. So 299 and 3 touchdowns. He was a monster out there. And he was absolutely incredible in this game. And Hallettsville jumps out 21-0 with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. And I'm starting to think, well, we got our 2 bangers. We had Windthorst, Mart, and we had Canadian Franklin. We had our 2 bangers. The most important play of the game was the Jim Ned, the Tate Yardley to Zach Henderson touchdown with 59 seconds left in the first half.
Yep.
Because they go up 21-7, and especially with Hallettsville getting the ball to start the second half,
yes,
getting that little juice. Because here's the thing: if he, let's just say, Zach Henderson drops that pass, okay, Mark gets the ball, or Hallettsville gets the ball back. They go in half, 21-0. They come out the second half. They run like Jonathan Brooks breaks a touchdown run. It's 28-0. That's ball game. That's it. I'm sorry. Like I give a lot of credit to the Gym Net kids for fighting, but if they go up 28-0 in the second half,
especially scoring on the first drive of the third quarter, that would have been heartbreaking.
That's really hard to come back from.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim Ned starts making some defensive adjustments. They start bottling up Jonathan Brooks. They get another touchdown pass from Zach Henderson. Jim Ned then ties the game with 4 minutes left in the game on Tate Yardley's third touchdown pass of the game. He finds Braden Lewis for the touchdown. And then they kind of trade possessions in the final couple minutes where it looks like, oh, both of them are going to win.
Yep.
But they don't. They go to overtime. Jonathan Brooks does his part. He carries the ball, I think, all 4 times, and runs in for a 4-yard touchdown run.
And that was a much more difficult run than what it looked like. Like if you really go back and watch
he was
it,
fighting through tackles, and he was wearing down. I think you can see he was getting tired.
He was
because
tired.
he carried the ball 36 times. Okay.
And they were not easy runs.
No.
Any of them.
And by the way, the name we haven't mentioned yet is Xavier Wishart. But Xavier Wishart was, he came alive in the second half.
Yep.
He came alive. And they started running the ball really well. That kid was a workhorse. He ran the ball 35 times for 186 yards and what ended up being the touchdown in overtime. He runs for he breaks a 17-yard touchdown run, powers in. And
the touchdown in overtime was the...
No, it was Wishart.
Was the fade.
That was a touchdown. That was a 2-point.
Oh, gotcha.
Because Matt Fanning holds up 2 fingers.
Yep.
So let's go for it. And he even mentioned it in the post-game interview. He said, we saw Windthorst, and we talked about that. We were like, if we have that opportunity, we're going to do it.
Do it, yeah.
Sure enough. And it's a really interesting play call because what they do is they basically get Zach Henderson out in single coverage on the outside, and they hard count him. Hallettsville does jump. Hallettsville jumps, and so they've got a free play. That is, you have to think that's all part of one cohesive unit.
Right.
And I would need to go back and see if they have a timeout left. But if they have a timeout left, I don't know.
I don't think that they did.
Did they not?
I don't think so.
So
I could be wrong on that.
So I wonder, like, because that's basically like a gotcha play. Is like we're gonna try to draw you off sides, and if not, if they do, basically the center's gonna snap it no matter what, and then you run the fade.
Yeah,
it ends up working to perfection. However it was, but I'd be interested to see what the play call is if they don't jump. I'd be very interested in that. I'll ask Matt Fanning at some point. But
we were kind of like with the Windthorst one, we were going go for it, absolutely go for it right here. A little bit more hesitant with this one, just because the way that the like tea leaves were reading off of that game is just, I mean, they had worn down Brooks, and it's like, ooh, are you gonna risk it with this?
It's a little bit, the momentum had kind of shifted a little bit. I hate the word momentum, but it kind of like Jim Ned was feeling themselves at that point.
They
but at the same time, you roll the dice, comes up,
it worked,
and comes up sevens, and it's a touchdown. It's a 2-point conversion in the state championship, the first in school history for Jim Ned and company. And, I mean, this game was incredible. This was an incredible chess match back and forth.
Unbelievable.
I thought both defenses actually played pretty well. I know it's not going to show up in that game because there's more than 700 yards total offense, but I thought both defenses played pretty well. And
each of them played well for a half that they needed to play a half in,
And just an incredible game, like an instant classic.
Yeah.
There. And it's funny because I think those 3, and I would even lump those 4, lump Shiner Post in there. I think you had 4 games you're going to see replayed on Fox Sports Southwest, like for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Because I think you had 4 outstanding football games there within that 27-hour span. So there you go. That is UIL state ranked. I went with number 7 Argyle over Lindale, number 6 Sterling City over May, number 5 Carthage over Gilmer, number 4 Shiner over Post, number 3 Windthorst over Mart, number 2 Canadian over Franklin, number 1 Jim Ned over Hallettsville in overtime. That's my opinion. I think you can shuffle. I think you've got 2 groups of 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got the 2 4A games and the 1A game that you can put in any order you want.
Yep.
And you got the top 3 in the Windthorst, Canadian, and Jim Ned.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Shiner Post is pretty clearly like right in the middle.
Right.
It's a different category.
Yes, I agree. As I was going to say, the one, like when I first looked at your list, I was thinking I could be torn either way going with
Canadian Franklin
at 3.
Jim Ned Hallettsville gets the nod because it was super entertaining throughout.
Right.
Canadian Franklin got wild in the final 8 minutes.
That
was my tiebreaker, but they're really close.
Yeah,
really
those
close.
are
all 3 of those games are really close. So anyway, there it is.